We need three things to make this old truck run. First, we need compression. Do we have compression? Yes, we have compression, but we went through some preparation to get that. We used some Marvel Mystery Oil, and you can use some transmission fluid or even just light engine oil, but we worked the combustion chamber. Notice I said combustion chamber and not just rings and cylinder. We put some oil first before we tried anything. We let it sit overnight. Yes, we got lucky it turned. After we got the engine to rotate, I put some more oil in there, and there'll be a link in the description if you're interested in seeing that video. This is about part 4 in a series about getting this truck running. My goal is to idle, but I'm going to show you what I have to do a little bit more in preparation. And guess what also we have? I told you I was going to do it, and we did it. I got myself an entire fuel system. An old IV bag that's going to be the fuel tank. And if I do this, that's going to be the fuel pump. What does that do? Well, it gives us a little bit of gravity. And I was so curious to find out how I was going to do it, and the answer is here. Here I'm going to be able to control the drip at the other end. We're not quite ready for that today, but I promise you on the next show, and I hope you come around, we're going to make this old truck idle like if it was never turned off and it hasn't run in 10 years. 2 out of 3, no cigar. We need one more ingredient, and I bet you most of you know what we need. We need an ignition system. Preparing your ignition system to fire an engine that hasn't run in a long time. Come on. The third thing we need is spark. That's a nickname for secondary ignition voltage. Right here is the ignition coil, and we have to make sure it's ready to go. I don't want to crank it to death, right? It's going to fire like it's never been turned off. Now, I'm just going to take my jumper wire, and unfortunately every vehicle is a little bit different. I wish I could tell you how to do them all, but trust me, all I'm doing is jumping the coil. I'm putting some positive to it. Nothing should happen at this point. Okay, I am connecting positive to the coil. I now have positive to the coil. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to remove the coil wire from the distributor. The coil wire is the one that is in the center of the distributor cap. These are the spark plug wires. This is the coil wire. I'm going to take the coil wire out. Again, we're very lucky on this project because everything is not only here, it's in good condition. Right? I prepared a spark plug already. I'll show you what I did to do the preparation, but I've taken a spark plug. Might as well do 2 things at the same time. I'm going to check to see if there's spark coming out of the coil, and I'm actually going to test the spark plug. Now, no, we don't want to get shocked, so I'm going to be careful. It's nice to have this large alligator clip where you're going to attach it to the side, the metal part, because it has to be grounded. I have grounded this red alligator clamp. With this spark plug grounded, I'm going to need another free hand. So I'm going to prop that up. Unfortunately, this does not connect. I'll hold it lightly. I'm going to take my other wire that cranks it over. I'm going to crank it over, and I'm hoping to see spark right there. If you're not as lucky as I am and you have no spark from the coil, let me just try to show you a little bit about how these old points and condensers work. Everything is so easy on this engine. The distributor cap is going to come off ever so easy. And inside the distributor cap is what we have known as the points and the condenser. Now the points only have to do a couple of things. They have to open and close, but they also have to make the contact. Obviously your starter is working, so we're going to look at the points and see if they're opening and closing. Yes, they are. They're opening and closing. But sometimes they just need a little cleaning. Same thing with the spark plug tip. If you can get in there and clean that up while you're there, you might as well do it. Now, this little round thing, the condenser, it's essential. It's important. It has to be there. It can cause no spark. This little guy right here, it's not easy to test. Over here, the points, just make sure they open and close, clean them up, and if you still don't have any spark, before you replace the coil, put your condenser in there. That usually fixes it. And if that doesn't fix it, then it is the coil. I've got all the spark plugs run off a little bit. I'm just going to tighten them up. We're getting very close to firing this thing up, but I might as well warn you. I'm only going to let it run for a couple of seconds because of the smoke. This thing is going to smoke terrible. With all the fluids that I've been putting into the cylinders and cranking it over and putting more oil and putting more paper and popping all that information, okay, it's going to smoke a storm. I've got all the spark plugs tightened up, and now we just have to put the wires in the right place. I looked up the firing order. It's right there on the internet, and we're very close. I was hoping to be able to use this throttle plate. I have to do a little more preparation. I took it apart from the bowl and I let it soak with some penetrating oil, but no, it hasn't broken free yet. I want this to help me meet that challenge of idle, because I want you to see, but what I want to show you is that hole right there. You see that little hole right there? It happens to line up with this screw. This is the air-fuel mixture screw for the idle circuit. This is the idle circuit. The entire gasoline that feeds the engine during idle does not come from the throttle. It comes from that little hole right there. And not just because it's old, they've been doing it for all carburetors. This tells me that yes, I'll be able to drip that IV bag just right, and then I have to feed it or I have to limit the amount of air. I want to be able to work the throttle just a little bit through the adjustment screw so I can make it idle.